Hey kids, and welcome welcome to Whale Come. God damn it. You know, I was gonna make a parody video using your likeness, but you're making this a bit difficult, don't you think? Actually, wait, come to think of it, I already did. Click on the link in the up right corner. Hey, don't you blame me, mister, for tying you up. You're the Messiah who hasn't returned in almost a year, and, as your self-appointed apostle, the masses need their crappy animation fix. So here's what's gonna happen, Buster. I'm gonna give the people what they want, and you're gonna sit back and watch like a 40-year-old husband in a loveless marriage watches his wife make happy dances with the mailman. Capiche? Oh well, worth a shot. Now then, what to talk about? I know! Let us find a really weird historical figure that would be seen as absolutely perfectly normal in today's society. Let's get to it! Alright, internet, give me some weirdos. Sigmund Freud? Nah, too talked about. Hitler? Probably not the best idea. Grimace? Maybe, actually. Never mind. He's too much like the others. No, wait. Who is this? Poet? Bear? King of Greece? Sister? My god, sweet nasally Neville Chamberlain! This guy is gold! I have to talk about this man, but I don't think I can use this body anymore. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna need to change things up. Ah, much better. Now, let's talk about Lord Byron of England. Our story begins in the land of jolly old England, home of fish and chips, unrivaled colonialism, and of one George Gordon Byron who was born in London on January 22nd, 1788. Now, I mentioned that the guy was a baron, and you're probably wondering to yourself, what the heck is that? I barely know how to tie my own shoelaces, much less the difference between a viscount, a duchess, a baron, a sub-badar, and a shish kebab. In layman's terms, any title of nobility just means how much land a person owns, and barons are on the lower end of the totem pole of poshness in society. Side note, even though it is a title of nobility, in the ancient Gaulish language, the meaning of baron was actually stupid. But Byron was far from stupid. Au contraire, he was a brilliant storyteller and renowned poet that has works that are still popular to this day. But this video isn't about his impact on the poetic underground scene or his contributions to the modernization of the romantic genre in literature. His personal life was far more interesting than what he could ever put from pen to paper. Wait a minute, actually come to think of it, that's what he did for a living. Anyway, for starters, Byron was as eccentric in college as one would expect from an Ivy League dude bro wasting away their parents' life savings just so they could party it up like it was the end of the world. Byron went to Trinity College in Cambridge, where for 3 years he engaged in boxing, horse riding, gambling, and owning a pet fucking bear. You see, Byron loved animals, owning an assortment of exotic creatures during his lifetime, but his first beloved animal companion came in the form of a Newfoundland dog named Boatswan. Byron adored Boatswan so much that he decided to bring the doggo along with him to live on campus at Trinity. But when he brought the dog to the dormitories, the campus officials denied his dog, citing a strict no canine policy. But Byron, being the conniving trickster he was, he came up with a rather clever countermeasure. Alright, you bunch of gomless wankers. You won't allow any dogs? I got a dog for ya. Oh wow, Byron's back quick. Guess he listened to us about the rules after all. It is sad to turn away a cute dog like that. But hey, rules are rules. And I'm glad that we have a nice young man who— Oh, Mary, Mother of Daniel Craig! Guess he bit off more than he can chew. I'll be real with you guys. Byron was a straight up player. Not only did he hop from lady to lady like a bloodthirsty plague-ridden tick from the 13th century, but Byron didn't stray away from a good sausage or two in a time when homosexuality was punishable by hanging. He sexed up many dudes and dudettes in his lifetime. But in 1809, when Byron turned 20, he embarked on what was dubbed as the Grand Tour, basically a snob pilgrimage for young men of prestige. And Byron, like many men of the time, took to the high seas, searching for purpose and a new lease on life. Nah, just kidding. He used the trip to get away from his mother, a woman, and debt collectors from all the money he was stealing to fuel his rich lifestyle of debauchery, but mostly to broaden his palate of brotwurst.
Brotwurst, that's so fucking stupid.
Byron's grand tour destinations couldn't consist of all the usual locales you'd see on a budget European excursion you'd do with your family, on account of the Napoleonic Wars unfolding at the time. So Byron set his eyes to the Mediterranean. More specifically, he widely traveled to lands to the east of Greece known as the Levant. During his trip, he experienced many sexual encounters with married men and women alike, and, as keepsakes, kept lockets of their hair. Aw, that's kinda cute. Oh, wait, sorry. I meant to say pubic hair. Yeah, pubic hair. But of course, no grand trip is without fiddling with a couple of Turkish slave boys in Constantinople. Yep, that happened. Casting the troublesome 19th century sex trafficking practices aside, Byron famously ventured into the red-headed step-sibling of Greece known as Albania, and was granted an audience with one Ali Pasha of Ioannina. Many in the West describe Pasha as an oppressive ruler who reportedly drowned an innocent girl in a lake in his capital. But I think he just wanted to make Albania great again. But when Byron laid eyes on Maga Ali, he took one long pause and thought, yep, that one too. Byron boinked him, got a cool painting, and went on his merry way. By the end of his tour, Byron wrote the first cantos of his famous Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. Originally, it was going to be a regale of his experiences in the Levant. But Byron must have thought that no one would care about a privileged adult's wildest moments, so he scribbled out his name for some kid named Harold, and the thing sold like hotcakes. Many hotcakes, in fact, and upon his return, he was the talk of England. From 1811 to 1816, Byron, being the absolute definition of moderation, definitely didn't participate in more gambling, more drinking, more borrowing of money, adultery, and buggery. British people sure do have the funniest sayings. I wonder what buggery means. Oh my. By the end of 1815, Byron was a superstar in London higher society, but all the shenanigans he had been up to were taking their toll on the man. So one day, when Byron was getting ready for a new day of his rock star life, he must have found his mess of a self in front of a mirror and gave himself a pep talk saying something along the lines like, "Listen, Byron, you may be the most handsome lad in all of Britain, and you may be a debonair with your lines of poetry, and you may indeed also have the biggest ding-dong this side east of the Mississippi. Why, yes, I do. Thank you for noticing. You're welcome. But it's high time all this husband and wife cuckery came to an end, buddy. You need to find yourself a nice lady to settle down with, preferably one with a rich uncle you can mooch off of. Like that one." Byron married one Lady Annabella Milbank in 1815 to better shape up his public image, and they had a daughter together named Ada Lovelace, who would grow up to become a pioneer in the field of mathematical computation, and even helped out in the making of the first computer ever made by Charles Babbage. Wait, so let me get this straight. A guy famous for his flirting and philandering, had a daughter who helped create the computer. And the computer is a machine that not only is one of the most important inventions in modern history, but as of 2019, also 30% of its user base utilizes for porn. So by this point, Byron was married, he was famous, and he was wealthy, relatively speaking. What could ever possibly go wrong? You see, a lot of Byron's sexcapades were normal up until now. Except for the kids. Sure, he made love with everything from men, women, married men and women, and even a ruthless elderly tyrant. But his piece de resistance is definitely, unequivocally, banging his sister. Byron was so madly in love with his sister Augusta that he would go on to have many affairs with her before and during his marriage with Anne. In 1816, Anne got pretty tired of Byron's drunkenness, massive debts, and the whole sister thing, you know, and was legally separated from Byron, declaring him insane. Byron's scandals were widely rumored across all of London during this time, so he once again took to the high seas, searching for purpose and a newer lease on life. Just kidding, he did himself anything faster. You could say poets poetically pop pouring out of England as he goes off to ponder bang his Sistor. He would never again return to England, and, for the rest of his life, he would travel to different locations and never stay in one place longer than a couple of years. He went to Switzerland, kicked it back with a couple other historic literary figures, one of them being Mary Shelley of Frankenstein fame, probably boinked his sister. He went to Italy, screwed some more people, a lot of people in fact, tried to rewrite the Bible with, quote, better stories, maybe screwed his sister, and he went to Greece, where he helped fund a revolution and could have become king, but definitely didn't bang his sister. Let me explain. Byron was living it up in Venice when he began to hear about the troubles of the Greek people, most specifically the Suliotes under Ottoman rule, and there were murmurs of revolution taking place. Byron loved the ancient Greeks and the culture of the region that helped shape his poetic masterpieces. So, upon hearing this, he did what any rational, egotistical, syphilis-ridden man would do in that situation. Fund a revolutionary takeover! You see, Byron's health was widely speculated to be declining at a rapid pace at this point in his life, believed to have some sexually transmitted diseases such as the aforementioned syphilis, gonorrhea, and a bad case of the Lannisters. So Byron may have actually been losing his mind a bit at the time, and believed helping a cause such as Greek independence would be the answer to the boredom that he experienced in his life. So Byron and his posse set sail upon the Hercules to Mesholagi. Upon arriving in Greece, Byron got involved into a bit of a mess. Okay, it was a really big mess, in fact. I don't have time to get into the specifics of the events that took place, but just know that it involves bribery, ambush, and the faction he was helping trying to kidnap him for more money from himself. Despite that, Byron became the main beneficiary of the operation for Greek independence and even sold an estate he owned back in England in the excess of £20,000 for the cause, which in today's money would be millions. Unfortunately, like a good old-fashioned Greek tragedy, the planning stage of the attack on an Ottoman stronghold that was to be led by Byron turned into infighting amongst the rebel group, and each of the faction leaders were vying for Byron's money bag. I guess it was more like an episode of Game of Olive Oil than Thrones. Sadly, however, Byron would fall ill shortly before the assault were to take place, and physicians at the time did that stupid thing that pretty much any doctor now will tell you is a bad idea. After days in bed, Byron took on a bad fever and succumbed to his illness on April 19th, 1824, at just 36 years old. Byron's death was mourned heavily not just in England, but also in Greece, where his contributions to the war effort were so appreciated that he has a marble statue erected in Athens in his honor. In fact, if he had remained alive long enough to see the success of the war in 1832, some historians believe that the Greeks would have crowned Byron king of Greece, but this claim is a bit contested. In one final bit of posthumous Byronism, legend has it that in 1938, when experts went to examine Byron's body, they found that his crypt had been robbed and the corpse had been stripped naked. But, lo and behold, Byron was said to have been perfectly preserved and had a calming smile, looking as peaceful as anyone had ever seen him. And then they looked down and found that he had a massive hard-on, as hung like a horse some claimed, but naturally this is unsubstantiated. Then again, who doesn't like a story about a dead dude's century-long boner? Take that, Viagra! In conclusion, Lord Byron was quite the interesting character and is still widely revered today for his works. And hey, he even has his own frickin' holiday in Greece. You can't get more baller than that. And sure, I may have goofed on the guy a lot in this video, but he did live his life to the fullest, even if it left him filled with STDs and a bad case of Alabama fever. Thank you all for watching.
Uh-huh.